Hello, this is Lisa Hazard with We Are All Psychic, and today we have Jennifer, new guest, and she is also on Everclear. Jennifer, would you like to say hello?
Hello.
Jennifer, do you think we're all psychic?
Abso-freaking-lutely.
Absolutely. I like that word. So
Absolutely. You
expand
know,
on that.
yeah, well, what I think is that we are all electromagnetic beings, and we're all connected to one another and to animals and plants. And I think that we all vibrate on a frequency, not always on the same frequency, but I think that it's kind of a network that is available to everyone if they want to do it. And I don't think everybody, they kind of push that aside, or maybe when you're a kid, you're a little more psychic than you are when you're in, get older because of conditioning. So I would say everyone has different strengths and different abilities and different reasons for being psychic, but I absolutely think we're all psychic.
That's one of the best answers I've heard. I really like the way
What?
you explain that. And the reason it's the one of the best is because I totally feel that way too.
Good.
So yeah, a little
Yeah.
bias there. So
Yeah.
Jennifer, like, what do you do? What's up with you? What's your specialty? What do you do
Oh
for a
my God.
living?
Well, I consider myself a psychic medium, and that's, a little bit of everything. So I think, if you're a psychic, but not everyone's a medium.
Right.
So you kind of grow on that. And it's like a muscle. You need to strengthen it and practice. And it's, taken me a while to get here, but I think for me, what made my path more clear was good mentors. I
Oh, that's
really,
wonderful.
yeah,
You're
really
so
good people.
lucky to have had help because so many people don't have it, and they don't have this. Is part of the reason I'm doing this podcast is to hopefully reach people who don't have a mentor or have like lucky like that and find someone. And hopefully you can be a mentor to people in listening to this podcast. And this podcast
Yeah,
is about being a psychic medium. So,
great.
um, what happened to you first? When did you first know you were a psychic medium,
Ooh,
or accept it? Both.
yeah. Well, I think that for most of us, it started when we were young. I mean, we always felt like there was something going on, but we just thought it was normal. I would, like I'd be at my grandparents' house. They live in this old house, and pictures would talk to me.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Like
Oh,
ancestors would talk to me, and
yeah.
I feel the presence of beings around me, and I wouldn't actually see. I'm not a clairvoyant in the classical sense, but I hear a lot. So I would hear spirit voices. I still do, and I would just sense them being around me, and I
Now,
thought it was normal.
when you hear them, is it the same like actually hearing, like with your ear, or is it like in your mind hearing?
Both.
Both. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
both.
Yeah. That's very
I'm
interesting.
Right. I'm what you call a true clear audience. So I will hear them in my, kind of like I'll hear little whisper voices, but also, especially before I go to sleep, I will hear voices.
It's really interesting that you say that. I'm also a medium, but I very rarely will hear the actual voice. But last night I was in bed and I kept saying to my husband, "What'd you say?" But it wasn't him. I kept waking him up by saying, "What'd you say?" It wasn't even his voice. But usually I don't hear an actual voice, but it's usually like, claircognizance. I kind of know what they're trying to say.
Right.
I can,
Yeah.
see them more than like hear. Like you can actually hear their words. That's amazing. So, what was the first experience? When did you tell somebody this was happening to you, and you knew it was different
Hmm.
than everybody else?
Wow, that's interesting. I don't remember so much. I just remember my brother and sister, I would play with tarot cards, and we kind of give each other readings, and we all were kind of good with it. But I mean it really was accepted for the most part. My mother studied astrology, and she was really into handwriting analysis, I remember, and she was really into psychic types of things. So it was kind of like little games, I guess. It
That
never
is so cool.
Yeah, it never felt like, maybe my dad wasn't on board, but we really didn't really talk about it with him. But I really think that it was something that was just natural and encouraged.
Yeah,
So,
that's
you know,
amazing. Yeah, because I think that when you said in the introduction, when we were asked you the question, you had said, it's a conditioning that a lot of
Yeah.
like, that's the word you had used, and I really like that word for it because it is conditioning. I think that a lot of people, they have this going on, and especially when they're children, and they have those big we have these big imaginations. We're playing with our toys, and they are personalities. They are like detailed personalities. I would know like my little glass dachshund better than I would know my mom, you know?
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah. And that's, I mean, like imaginary playmates too. And I mean, a lot of kids say they have imaginary playmates, and those are actually their spirit guides working with them. So
Yeah.
it's a, yeah.
So, do you remember when you first contacted with your spirit guides, or is that always there for you? Also, all of this has always been there for you, kind of. Is that what's going on?
Kind of, but not till I worked with a mentor did I really get. I mean, I was just when I first started, I was just kind of like a wild card. I think I picked up the good and the bad energies because of that. And I think what I learned along the way is working with a guide is what really anchors your practice and being a psychic and a medium, because that's your higher self, your higher power. And if you work with that, you're going to be more accurate. You're going to live your life, you're going to be on a better path. So it took me a while to get there, and I think that's what the mentoring did for me.
That's
Was
great.
Yeah.
My mentor was my spirit guide, and I didn't know it was real. So it
Yeah,
was really, yeah, it's
that's
like
fine.
you're,
I mean, they
yeah,
always are there. It's just a matter whether you identify them. They're going to be with you no matter what. So might as
yeah,
well get to know them.
yeah. They're great. I love them. Yeah, they're just wonderful. So, like, so where did you go from there? I know you before we started the podcast, you said you were a French horn player, and
Yes.
so you were a musician. And she also told me, listeners, that she has played with the Who.
Oh,
And I just about had a heart attack. And
yeah.
and yeah, but I didn't, so I'm alive. And we are continuing the podcast. But she's done a lot of really interesting things in her life, and she has told me that she's been in this field for 30 years.
Yeah.
So when you first started working professionally with medium work, would be, you said it was around 1990. So like, what, that this stuff was not normal then as it is now.
Well,
So,
it kind of was. Actually, I lived in LA during
oh,
the well, 80s and the 90s. So it was everywhere around there. And okay, so I've studied music at USC, and I worked I did freelancing in LA for a while. And I wanted to get a part-time job. So I went to this cattle call for this psychic hotline. And I had never done readings for anyone. It was just, and I think the company, I mean, it's not alive anymore, but it's called Aquarian Age 2000, which is kind of hilarious now. But I worked for them, and I went to a cattle call, and I did like a cold reading on somebody. He didn't like give me any feedback, or and I was scared out of my wits. Went in and did the reading, and he's like, "Okay, you're hired."
like, well, tell me if I was right first, or what?
Yeah.
Just give me something. Yeah.
And so I worked in like an old call center for an airline. It was a whole bunch of psychics and mediums, astrologers, Wiccans, everybody. And I got to know different people and how they worked. And I think that's what made it so much fun is I mean, I had some lifelong friends from that one job.
Oh my gosh, that sounds fun. It was like
It
actually
was
like a call room, a call center with a whole bunch of psychics working in the same place. Oh, that's amazing. That would be just fantastic. I work in a shop locally. I'm not
yeah,
during COVID, but I love that in-person experience and talking to people who come in who are into this stuff. And that's
right.
why I am enjoying the hell out of talking to you.
Yeah.
Like this, I
Well, I mean,
didn't, yeah,
right.
no, most people don't have
It's
that
good
access.
psychics to connect with one another. We've
Yeah.
learned a lot from each other, I think.
Oh, yes. That's
Yeah.
definitely where I got the rest of my education after I started talking to people about, seeing spirits and talking with them, and then talking to people like you, and they find out other people do this. It's not
Right.
just me. So, like, tell people about, maybe if you want, tell listeners the experience is like, maybe some of your stories of mediumship that like really opened your eyes to some other way of thinking, like spirits who may have come through, who enlightened
Oh,
you, or talking about like,
yeah, very
yeah.
much so. Um, so let me see. Trying to think back to stories. I will say this: I trained, and then I moved to New York, like via Kansas. It's a long story. I mean, I've been to done so many things, but I got my mentorship, the first mentorship in New York City, and I worked with a spiritualist minister who was my mentor, and that's where I really learned how to be a medium. And I had been doing mediumship readings, but just kind of like I said, it was like a wild card. I was all over the place. And I learned how to give a good, how to get the information and how to give a good reading, how to interpret literal versus symbolism.
Yes, I know what you mean. Can you explain that to the listeners so they
Yeah.
understand?
Yeah, I wanted to get into this first before I went into like the
Oh,
kind
sure
of
thing.
I do. But so I would say about 99% of information you get from the spirit world is symbolic. And you'll get things, okay, so you'll get symbols that will come in that will mean something to you. It won't mean something to the person you're reading for, but it's up to you to interpret them so that they understand the context. And it's so weird how it works, but spirits will find a way to get to you. And that's the hardest thing about being a medium, is to make sure you're right. you know?
It's hard, isn't it? Yeah, you have
Yeah,
to for me, I have to, like, "Do you know blah, blah, blah? Or does this make sense to you? Please
right.
tell me it does, because 'cause I'm not sure."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Until you're validated, you have no idea. And some people are very strange. I mean, they'll won't talk about it, and then you're like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you got that." So,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, I'm trying to think of different things. You know what I love is bringing through people's spirit guides, and sometimes family members who are deceased will be spirit guides.
Yeah, I found
Uh,
that out too. Yeah.
yeah,
I,
and I've had
yeah.
yeah, go
Oh, I was just gonna say that was my experience. I had a
ahead.
relative pass away when I was a teenager, and he's been around ever since. He's never given himself the title of spirit guide, but he's around if I invite him, you know? So
Right. My grandmother was has been one of my spirit guides, and she comes to me in dreams. I mean, I think dreams are like another form of mediumship, because you get visitations, and I think a lot of people get that and they wake up, it's like, I actually feel like that person was with me.
yes, they feel like they just saw them sometimes, and they feel like they get a hug or something, or they felt or
Right.
touched them, and it's, like, so real.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep. That's
I've had
always
that with cats, actually. I haven't known too many people who passed away where I dreamed about them, but I have dreams about cats coming to me, and I wake up, I have a very strong love for cats,
yeah.
and the passed away cats will come in the dreams, and I'm really surprised because they come in any way, but in the dreams, it's like touching their fur and hearing their purring, and then I
Yep.
wake up just feeling so happy. I think a lot of
Yeah.
people have those experiences.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think they do, or they don't remember, but yeah, and I've had some this is a weird, so I've got a couple weird stories about things that have come through, but I had, when I was a kid, I used to have these dreams about these two people, a woman with long dark hair and a man with kind of curly blonde hair. And they would show me pictures of anatomy, like those medical anatomy books, and like
Yeah.
layers where you see all the systems of the body.
Yeah, the little
And
Britannica encyclopedias had those. Yeah.
right, right. And I years later, I did a yoga teacher training, and it took me a while to realize it, but the couple, these two, the Sarah and Vaz, were these people that were in my dreams. I was meant to meet them.
Oh, that's so cool.
And I told her, like, I told Sarah, like, I cannot believe this, but I had recurring dreams when I was a kid about you.
What'd she
And
say?
she's like, that didn't freak me out at all, you know.
Oh.
But the weird thing is they both passed away. One, like they both had heart problems, and they passed away, you know, within a few years of each other. And it was weird. A few months after Sarah passed, she was the last one to pass. She came to me in a dream and hugged me. And I
Oh.
asked her, I said, well, since I got you here, I'm going to ask you a question. And I said, is it really that different being in the spirit world than it is here? And she's like, it's really not much different. Isn't that weird? I mean, it's just,
That's yeah, to have that confirmation, because that's kinda what I
yeah,
feel in my heart and gut, but I don't know. But that she
yeah,
told you that, that's really
yeah.
cool. Yeah, that seems
And the
like the
fact,
personalities are still there.
right.
Yeah.
And the fact that she had come to me in dreams when I was a kid, I kind of went full circle with that. So to me, even though that's not a reading I did for somebody, I feel like that's a full circle mediumship
Definitely.
moment.
Oh, gee, oof, yes, that's a beautiful story. I love it.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. It sounds like you and I have had a lot of the similar, well, you may have had them younger than I did, a lot of the realizations and understanding that the spirits try to get through to me anyway, and maybe for you too. Um, I mainly like as a medium, what do you most hope to offer a client when you're giving them a medium reading?
Well, I mean, there's different there's different rules of mediumship. And I think the biggest thing, the biggest law of mediumship is the law of love. And I think the fact we can make that connection through love, not fear, and reunite people, they gives them some hope that it isn't that when we die we're not, that's not it, and that we still remain connected to somebody, maybe not in the same way we were on earth, but there still is that essence and that connection to that spirit.
Right,
I
right.
think it's a beautiful thing, and that's what I really seek to do in my mediumship readings, is to, give them enough detail where they know that that person is with them, and give them validation.
That's my goal too, and a
Yeah.
lot of people will come and tell me, and probably with you too, "This happened. Is that my grandmother? Or is that my mother? I
Hmm.
found a feather," stuff like that.
Right.
And you can confirm it for them. "Yes, I can see this feather," or she's telling me it's red or something like that, and they're like, "Whoa, it is red." It's
Hmm.
just, and then it does give people this feeling of faith, and those people are not gone forever. You're not gonna go anywhere forever. I mean, yeah, that kind of like you're if
Right.
you pass away, you're not just God, and it's such a nice thing to feel like you know, and to
Yeah. And
offer
that,
that to other people. It's a nice
right.
thing.
It gives them hope, and it kind of helps the grieving process along.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, it does.
So that's the personal part, but I think a good medium also connects you with your spirit guides, with ascended masters, and that kind of thing. I think that's really important. A good medium should do all those things.
I would love to hear more about ascended
Archangels.
masters. Oh, and
Yeah.
yes, I've had communication with one archangel, but not the ascended masters that I know of. So I would love to hear more about the ascended masters from you.
Yeah. Well, there's so many of them. I mean,
I've
and
read a lot about them. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I think the one I identify with it is kind of more the Hindu god. You can't really see it in here, but I have a statue of Lakshmi. I love Lakshmi because
Okay,
she's the
okay.
goddess of abundance.
I
And she
have
has
her
like
in my
money.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
have her in an oracle deck.
Right.
I call it my
Like
femme fatale
money.
deck, but she's in there. The ascended women oracle. Oh, I can't remember what it's called. It's not in here right now. But you'd
Yeah.
probably like this deck a lot because it's got all the
I
ascended
love
masters. They're all
Lakshmi.
female. Lakshmi, yeah, I like her card and everything in that book. That's all I know about her though. So
Yeah.
what is she about? Tell the listeners. What's so
She's
special?
about abundance. And you see kind of money dripping off of her, which is kind of the materialistic thing. But I like that it's really about creating that. I mean, it goes beyond money. It's about creating abundance in your life and those opportunities that come to you
Okay,
and that help you grow. I think that's what Lakshmi is all about. She's very generous, and that
okay, I like
appeals to me.
that. That's
Yeah.
really cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how did you have you contacted her? Have you been in contact with her?
I think, indirectly,
Yeah, she helps you.
sometimes things will come through. Yeah, some things will come through. I have so many spirits that, like, let's say, that come through that I would look as ascended masters. Like for me, the big one, this is going to be silly, but for some reason, Freddie Mercury really resonates with me.
That's
And I think he's
awesome.
an ascended master,
He might
I think
be. It's interesting you
yeah,
say that because I know other psychic mediums who have had experience with Freddie Mercury coming around. So it's
yeah. I
interesting.
dream about
Yeah.
him a lot. Yeah.
Really? That's
So, oh
crazy.
yeah.
Maybe he is an
Yeah.
ascended master. Maybe he is. That would make sense because his voice sounds like he's from another dimension altogether in some of his songs.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I think an ascended master can be what you want it to be, as long
Yeah.
as they're like in a higher path. But yeah, I think that, I mean, just there's people who are suggested to be ascended masters, but doesn't, you can't limit yourself to that. Whatever
Yeah.
resonates with you. Yeah.
So for listeners who don't know what an ascended master is, it's something. I think it's Helen Blavatsky is like one of the ones who really started Helena. Like I don't know if I'm
Okay.
pronouncing her name correctly.
Madame Blavatsky. Yeah.
Yes, thank
Mhm.
you. That was wonderful. And I won't remember it. I'll try. I'll remember. I'll listen.
Yeah.
But I remember she was one of the people who really expanded on this in our
Mhm.
culture anyway. And ascended masters are people who reached a level of completion in their spiritual journey on, I guess, the physical plane, and sometimes they come back into incarnate into different lifetimes to help people learn about whatever needs to happen to change things. It's kind of
I agree.
a good
Yeah,
way to
that
explain it.
sounds, yeah.
Yeah, and they assist from wherever they may be.
But they,
Yeah.
the key point is they were living here on Earth at some time, you know.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, they lived several lifetimes, and they like worked on their whatever they wanted to change and build for themselves, create their individuality is kind of how I see it. Their uniqueness
Hmm.
as part of the whole, and then they I get when I hear the ascend, I think of them ascending up into the sky in a spaceship, like a yeah.
Right.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I love reading about them, and they have so much wisdom. If anyone wants to read about the ascended masters, just Google it, and you can find just tons of stuff. And
Yeah.
I love it. So, do you have any advice for people like to start developing their medium skills if they have none, or if they have some, or if they have questions, or if they're curious, or if they're scared? That's one thing I'd love
Yeah.
to help people if they're scared, because they don't have to be
Right.
scared.
Well, I think the best thing really is just to find ways to practice. I mean, that's the big thing. And I think right now, the big point I wanted to make is I think that more mediums are needed because we're going through so many changes in our world. And I think now's the time. If you really are drawn to do it, now's the time to do it.
Yeah.
Um, but I would say find a good mentor. I would say um, develop a strong relationship with your guides. I mean, that to me is the basis of connecting with other people because you need protection.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
it's not. I mean, you can get into a lot of weird stuff if you're not protected as a medium. And before I do any readings, I bring in white light or whatever you call it. And before, I mean, seance doesn't have the same connotations that it used to. A seance could be a very beautiful, uplifting event.
Right. Right.
But, maybe to play music before a seance or even before you go in with a client or somebody you want to practice on because it does raise the vibration of your energy.
Okay, let's roll it back
So,
to that seance.
okay.
Tell me about
Woo!
that. Tell me about seance. I
Yeah.
haven't been to one. I mean, I've seen the old timey movies,
Oh,
read
yeah.
books. Will you they still happen? Like that still
Oh,
happens?
yeah.
Oh, tell me about that.
So, right, when I was trained, we would have at the end of each session, we would have a seance. I
Oh,
mean, people call it
wow.
message circles or say, but we
Okay.
called it a seance. That's like the old,
Message.
spiritualist term
Right.
for it.
Okay.
But we would all get together. We would do a meditation. We'd hear music, and then things would start happening in the room. We'd see lights. We'd get messages for each other, and we would validate it. I mean, we would learn how to give and receive the message. So that's how I really got to hone my abilities as a medium by practicing with a group of people.
That is amazing. I
It
would
was
love to
super
do
cool.
that.
Yeah.
I'm coming to see you and have a seance. COVID be damned.
Yeah. Well, and that's something I want to offer is to do, we can do it through Zoom. I've been to a few message circles on Zoom and it's a little different, but it does work. It
Yeah.
really does work. Yeah.
And I'd love to be invited if you ever have one.
Oh,
You need
yeah.
an extra medium or something. That would be really
Oh,
great. I've
yeah.
never done anything
Definitely.
like that. I only
Oh,
know
it's
one other
so much
medium.
fun. And it's so
Yeah.
life affirming. It's a beautiful thing. It's not scary where, things happen and, like poltergeist or whatever. I mean, I
Well, you
guess
have
it
your
could.
protection. If you invited
Right.
that in, it would. Yeah, but
Right. I mean, you have to raise your vibration before you read for somebody or before you have a circle like that. So,
okay. Okay.
and
Yeah,
I want to
yeah.
say one thing to all the viewers out there, please don't mess with Ouija boards. I don't know how you feel about that, but
They don't do anything for me. They just don't. But
yeah,
some people have had some bad experiences. Like
that's
the
right.
one medium I do know did as a child. She had a bad
Right.
experience.
Yeah. I
I,
just don't recommend growing your abilities through that kind of a vehicle.
it's without any protection first.
Correct.
It isn't a scary thing if you can filter is what I consider it. Like a I keep them all at you could say arm's length, but
Right.
just invite them in. And it took a while to learn how to do that without
Yeah.
being bombarded by something I did not want, not knowing what it was. Suddenly I would feel, horrid. But
Yeah.
then I learned from my guide, and I did meet some people after I worked phone lines, and I learned some techniques that helped a lot. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
definitely that's something anyone going into it. If you want to use a Ouija board, I would recommend be very experienced in not using a Ouija board first.
Right. Right. Well, I mean, there are people who have gone through that, but they always switch to a different method of doing it. So, I mean, if that's the way you got started, that's fine. But I would suggest going, where it's really coming from you as a vessel rather
Right,
than a board that was like, who knows what energy's been with that. So, I
right,
mean, the person
exactly.
is the vehicle to that. But yeah.
Yeah, apparently they
Yeah.
call them spirit boards now because the Ouija board has such a bad connotation in the stores and stuff.
Yeah.
Because yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of funny actually.
Yeah.
But
I wouldn't use it, but
no, I tried. I think it was just when I was younger. I don't know why, but maybe the guides didn't want me to be experimenting with spirits, or maybe I had too much protection. I would try
Mhm.
so much to make something happen with that. I wanted to be psychic. I
Yeah.
wanted those abilities, and I wanted to know things, and it just didn't. I'd be like, "Come on, move! It's not moving." I mean, I wasn't gonna make it move,
Right.
and nothing ever
Yeah,
happened.
believe me, I've worked with them before too, but
Yeah,
it just, now that I know
what
more,
you know.
yeah, and I've known psychics who have been psychically attacked and have lost their abilities for a little while. And so
Whoa.
it's really important that you bring in the right energies, and I
Okay.
can't emphasize that enough.
Can you give an example to listeners of like how to bring in that energy? Like when you say bring in positive, like for me, I imagine it like I just kind of like I'm using my arms, and you can't
Yep.
see me, listeners, but I kind of imagine it coming around me and above me and below me and
Yep.
all around me, and I don't know what. It's just like I think of it can be whatever you want, really.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
yeah, that's
And
that's yeah.
yeah, the way I think of it is like tuning your a radio to a certain frequency, and like, it's really like lifting your vibration up. I mean, that's one of the other laws, is a law of vibration. And you have to, through your good, psychological, physical, emotional health, you can bring, you'll attract the higher level spirits. And likewise, I love this part, is that spirits have to lower their vibration to contact with us. So we kind of meet somewhere in the middle, like in a radio frequency. That's the way
I
I
like
look at
that.
it.
It's
Yeah.
very interesting because we're both musicians. I'm sure you're much more experienced than I am because I kind of gave it up after, playing all the time to do sound when I was younger, to run
Yeah.
sound. But frequencies, one of the first things that really connected me to, yeah, medium. I am a medium. This is happening. Is realizing what resonance is, like
Right.
the essence of what resonance is. And listeners, I'll let you go from there for yourself if you want to dig in, explore resonance in sound and in frequencies. I think you might find
Yeah.
something there. Would you like to let the listeners know where they can find you, Jennifer?
Okay. Well, I have a website, and it's called readingsbyjenniferjean.com. And you can just see, read a little bit more about me. And if you want to book a session with me, it's all there. And I also have a YouTube channel called The Psychic Scene with Jennifer Jean.
Oh, that's
And
cute.
yeah, that's YouTube.
I'm
So I
watching
have
that.
several. Yeah, I have several videos online. I just did one about the laws of mediumship. Was kind of, I talked
Oh,
about that a little bit today.
perfect.
So a lot of different subjects, and just kind of bringing you in and seeing what it is to live this kind of life, and different techniques of how to do a lot of different things. So
Yeah, and she's also available on our sponsors site, Everclear. It's an advice app where you get your advice from psychics and empaths and psychic mediums like Jennifer and me. I work
mm,
there too.
yep,
And she's on there. And what is your name on Everclear so people could
it
find
is Jaya, Jaya.
you? Jaya.
Yeah,
Okay, great. And I'll put a link to your profile and your number in the
perfect.
description, and your website and your YouTube. You got a lot of stuff going on. People are going to be real, gosh, they can learn a lot from you. I'm so excited you came. I mean, they're going to be
Yeah, thank
so
you. I
good.
really appreciate it.
I know a lot of people are going to be thrilled to like dig into your information because you have. I can just tell you have like well, a million lifetimes of knowledge and
Lived in
experience.
one life.
Yeah. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. I
Thank you,
appreciate it.
Lisa.
And listeners, thank you always for listening and have a great day. Goodbye.
Bye.